Welcome to the Diary of an Apprentice podcast. Today, for the first time, we're diving into a career in data analysis with our brand new guest, Harry. How does it feel to be here?
It's an absolute pleasure, Meg.
Oh, well, filming this on a Friday, which was always fun. Have you got any exciting plans for the weekend?
I'm going to Leeds tonight to go to a few bars, go for some nice food. But other than that, just watching the football. What about you?
Well, we're filming this on National Apprenticeship Week, so it's been a very busy week for us in the marketing team. So I think this weekend will be about relaxing and chilling out. But we'll kick off today's episode then. So, as I said, this episode is all about you and your career and how you've essentially carved your own role in Baltic Apprenticeships since you joined us as a data apprentice. But let's just start off by getting to know you and what you do now a little bit.
Yeah, so I came in 2.5 years ago into the sales department as a data technician, and basically came into an organisation which was reporting on a lot and analysing a lot, but without an analysis function and without a data team. So really starting from scratch, starting without a sort of manager that was a data professional. I was managed by sales managers as such. So basically at the beginning it was just trying to understand our sales data and give people a little bit more visibility. Obviously, the role's progressed since then, and there's more than just me and the team now, and we're doing far more interesting stuff than we used to do. But at the beginning, it was just a lot of very basic sales reporting and just trying to get to grips with a career I knew not much about.
Yeah. Well, you said there how the data teams definitely grew since it was just you them years ago back in sales. How many are in the team now?
So including myself, there's 6 people. We've had 2 sort of new starters in the last 4 or 5 months, and they've just started their junior data analyst apprenticeship. We then have someone who is about to complete their junior data analyst apprenticeship, and then myself and 2 others who are on their level 4 data analyst apprenticeship. And sort of the 2 people have a sales focus, 2 people have a retention focus, one being myself, and then 2 people have an operational focus. So there's quite a split in the team and a lot of variance, but we do get involved in other sides of the business, but every person has sort of their primary focus.
Yeah. And tell us about, like, you've mentioned how there's different focuses in that team, but how has the team evolved in terms of responsibilities?
Yeah, so essentially with us having sort of 2 phases of staff member in the team, people on level 4 and level 3. The level 4 members of the team act as mentors to the level 3. Quite often, the 2 salespeople, one's on level 4, one's on level 3, Dan and Ben. Dan acts as Ben's mentor in many ways, which is really beneficial to the level 3 learners, as when I joined, I didn't have a data manager or we didn't have an analytics manager, so I sort of didn't have a pathway to follow necessarily, and it sort of have to carve my own role out. But luckily now with us having this sort of function, everyone has someone that they can sort of aspire to be from a reporting perspective and from just a job role perspective. So yeah, 3 people level 4, 3 people level 3, and I guess they act as mentors. And we came in with 1 person, and then within 6 months of me starting, we had Ilya, who started with operations, and then Dan, who helped me out with sales, and then sort of since then it's grew quite fast, and yeah, I think we're a really good team at the moment, and we're just trying to progress because we're all on an apprenticeship at the same time, so we're all learning from each other all the time, and it's a really good environment.
Yeah. How's that been for you then? Because you came in, you were on the level 3. I know that you're on level 4 now, but you're obviously acting as a mentor to people who are going through the same journey that you once did on level 3. How's that been?
Yeah, it's good. I'm sort of very glad that I'm able to help them in the sense that when, for example, on my first apprenticeship, I didn't have a good idea of how I could evidence and expose myself to areas of the business that would allow me to report on interesting things, use new techniques and new methods. And my experience of muddling my way through that, I think, is going to help the younger members of the team who are starting their apprenticeship, because I can sort of give them advice on how they can start to build their skills on Tableau, how they can start to look at analytical methods and stuff like that. So that experience for me is only going to help the team progress. And alongside the other 2 members of the team who've done their level 3, that experience is going to make sure that we're going to do it better this time with this sort of new phase of staff member. So yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. And thinking back then to when you were a level 3 apprentice, obviously a long time ago now, what was it that you learned from the level 3 that's really benefited you in your role now?
So I came in from an accountancy background, completing my advanced diploma in accounting, and that's something I thought I really wanted to do in school and college because of my love for maths. But sort of starting in that career, I realised that the focus was not necessarily on maths, but more rules and stuff like that. So when I started my role, I didn't know much about data analytics, and I didn't know much about presenting data to people and communicating that data. But what I did know was a little bit about spreadsheets, but I didn't know how to transform that into insight. So what my level 3 apprenticeship really helped me with was understanding the actual task at hand, what you were trying to prove, and how you manipulate the data and get it in a format where you can actually analyse it to prove that thing. Again, at the start, I wasn't very good at presenting it. I wasn't very good at visualising it, and my level 3 apprenticeship really helped with that. And I've come on leaps and bounds, I believe, since then. And without it, I would be nowhere near where I am now. So incredibly valuable, and I'm sure my level 4 is going to continue in that way.
Yeah, and I know that once you completed the level 3 with a distinction, may I say,
Thanks very much.
you progressed onto the level 4 quite fast. How has that been for your career development to go straight onto a level 4 programme?
Brilliant. I think level 4 is going to be quite challenging. Again, in the same sense, in level 3, I had no one to look up to understand how they did level 3. We don't have that for level 4 either. So again, it's sort of me, myself, looking at how I can expose myself to areas I know I need to expose myself to. There's going to be a lot of progression this year and a lot of learning to be done, such as I'm going to try and dive into SQL and become an expert at that in the next year, because these are the skills that you need to have to be a successful data analyst. And again, we're on that journey together, and by no means we're there yet. So I know that level 4 is going to sort of bring out the best in me and the other 2 members doing it, and that challenge is going to make us hopefully very good data analysts in the next year.
Yeah, and for someone who may be coming to the end of the level 3 and is considering the level 4 as a progression route, would you recommend that now that you've gone through that?
Absolutely. I think it's level 3 is incredibly beneficial, and it gives you the fundamentals of this career. But the subtle difference between the two is that on level 4 you begin to analyse and then you recommend changes to parts of process in the business based on your findings, which in a way is really sort of inspiring. Might not be the right word, but it's lovely to see that your work has actually made an impact in changing something in the company for the better. And that's what sort of sells the benefits to me of the level 4 apprenticeship, showing how you can help people and help the company improve their efficiency, grow certain products that you know do well, and prevent sort of areas of weakness from festering. And that's why I think the values for level 4, and I think any level 3 learner can sort of look at that and really sort of see the value in level 4.
Yeah. Well, let's kind of flip it on its head then and go back to the very start of the level 3. What was your day-to-day when you were just a data analyst in a sales team?
Yes.
The only one?
So I think I've read loads online where analysts say that 60, 70, 80% of the job is cleansing data, looking at where you've got missing data, how do you deal with that, how do you carry out integrity checks to make sure the data you're recording has got the validity, the accuracy it needs. And that was primarily I'd say at least half of my day back when I started, looking at the sales reports, making sure that the fields we've captured information for are accurate, making sure that everyone understands the latest, rates that we've started learners, the vacancies are created, a lot of very basic KPIs. So that was my focus initially. And then it grew. As I was sort of progressed through my apprenticeship, I was given more responsibility, and we sort of tried to transform a KPI process where we had a lot of automated data capture for KPIs to prevent staff from filling out spreadsheets all day to tell us what they've done, which really helped enhance productivity reporting. And then just since then, it's just more responsibility every sort of 3 to 6 months carrying. And then obviously I moved out of sales with someone coming in to support. So now, since then, I've had more exposure to other sides of the business, which has only been brilliant for me.
Yeah. And so if we go from like that first day as a level 3 junior data analyst and current day as a level 4 data analyst, well, lead analyst now is your job title, I believe. How have them responsibilities evolved? What's the day-to-day now?
So I think I'm grateful for the fact that I have a good team around me, in the sense that I can now sit back a little bit and not do as much of that data cleansing, because that is something that's been given to the sort of lower tenure member of the team in the way to bed them into the team, which means that I've got more time to sort of analyse data and then just think. Like, I think one of the most important things to do in my position is to just sit back and plan how you're going to tackle a certain project you've been given. The projects we are given, it's sort of like we've got like a laser focus on an area of business which needs improving, and the process now would be that I would analyse certain data sets to sort of implement improvements to areas we think we need to improve on. And sort of that's my day-to-day focus, and it's a lot of project-based work, and then communicating with the rest of the team and collaborating with them to make it a much more seamless and efficient process and getting to that final piece of analysis or result quicker, which again has only been possible by growing the team and by just having sort of split responsibility for things like that.
Yeah. So you mentioned then that every analyst in the team has a specific focus area, whether that's sales, operations, and the list goes on. What are some of the types of projects that the team's working on now?
Yeah, so Faith, who is nearing the end of her junior data analyst apprenticeship, very, very good apprentice, and obviously we've got high hopes for her, and she's looking at retention, which is something she's taken on from me, which basically looks at how many learners start program, how many do we keep essentially, and it's a very important area because it ties in from a business perspective. We want to make sure we're keeping as many learners as we can because we're a business, and then from an education perspective, we want to make sure we're providing the best product to our apprentices, the best service to our employers, and if learners are dropping off, we want to know why, and then we want to know how we can improve the product because of that. That's something Faith's working on. Dan and Ben both being salespeople or sales-focused analysts. A lot of their day-to-day job is productivity report for sales at the moment. We've grown a lot as a business in the last year, which means we've took on a lot more salespeople, and measuring the success of them starts is something that's very important to them. Ilya and Bobby, who will have an operations focus, are looking to analyse a lot of learner satisfaction data this year and really take that up a notch. Ilya is our sort of go-to technical guy, so we've sort of transferred systems for how we report on certain productivity and performance KPIs, and Ilya's been the man we've always gone to sort of understand how we can manipulate and format the data sets to get it into a form we can analyse, and that's been his focus recently. But generally speaking, the main goal of the team at the moment is to optimise our reporting, to make things faster, to make things more timely, and just to improve accuracy. So that's sort of the general focus of the team at the moment.
Yeah. And now that we've got a fully established data analysis team, obviously we use data tools such as Tableau, but when you first came, I guess that wasn't something that was implemented. So how did that come about, like implementing data tools into a business that probably was just working off Salesforce dashboards and spreadsheets?
Salesforce dashboards, spreadsheet. That was the case for the first, being 2.5 years, it wasn't until I was in the business, let's say 9 to 12 months, where I began to actually look at tools. A lot of it was Excel based, and that's not to sort of undermine Excel. There's a lot of value.
Yeah, what's your famous quote?
My famous quote is, "Don't underestimate the power of Excel." So, yeah, there's still a lot we can do with that, but it's not the best function, for example, for visualizing data, which is important. Dashboard creation, subscription reporting, all of that we need Tableau, for example, for. That's what we use primarily. So that sort of came into sort of play 9 to 12 months into my role. And this was quite a steep learning curve because, again, there wasn't someone in the company who could do it. The people who learnt Tableau, myself, Dan and Ilya, learnt it at the same time. And we had no sort of benchmark to go against, no mentor. So we had a little bit of external training, but then our apprenticeship touched on parts of Tableau and elements of Tableau that we could sort of extract the value from and implement our day-to-day role. And since then, we've begun to sort of look at more tools than just Tableau. We look at Python for web scraping, we use R for statistical analysis. Sort of our plethora of data analysis tools is growing, and it has to grow naturally with us progressing through our apprenticeships. But yeah, beginning it was Excel and Salesforce dashboards, and now we use a lot more, which improves the quality of our work.
Yeah, and I think that's the value that a data apprentice can bring. Like, you don't have to have these systems and tools in place prior to hiring an apprentice, but they can bring that into your business and provide more meaningful insight, which is something that we couldn't be without now. But for you, Harry, being like a lead analyst and managing people who are split across different areas of the business and have very different focuses, I guess that comes with some challenges.
Oh, absolutely. So something we've run into recently is, with us having different focuses as analysts, as a company, we sort of offer 4 routeways for our programs, and within them routeways we have a couple of programs. So essentially there's quite a lot of segmentation, and one thing that's very important and a challenge we've had is preventing silos. So if we sort of, if one member of the team is working on a piece of analysis or a project for, say, the marketing program, and we find something very insightful, we need to ensure that the other routeways, software, data, IT, the the products and programs we offer, understand that insight could be sort of replicable against their programs. So preventing silos has been the main sort of challenge of the recent months, ensuring that everyone understands what we're working on, because there can be value for one department and another, but at the moment we just need to make sure that we're sharing insight across the board and not just to the specific customer who initially requested it. And to do this, we carry out monthly meetings with the team, and they essentially share the projects they've worked on in the month with the team, which again, in a sense, encourages like a fluid intelligence amongst the team. Not to sort of hit the drum again, but we're all apprentices and we're all learning together. We're all on the same journey, and there's so much that we can share internally in terms of our team, and then externally with other departments. So yeah, main challenge being preventing this silo mentality that sometimes creeps in without you even knowing.
Yeah, and as someone who I understand the frustration of having to work off spreadsheets and input manual data and try and make it look nice through the chart in Excel. I work in marketing, so do that quite a lot. But imagine that I'm someone who doesn't really do anything with data. What would you think would be the main reason why they should invest in data expertise or a data apprentice?
Yeah, so a lot of the analysis we do, sort of to liken it to this quote, a lot of the directors in our company often say they don't want to be the biggest, but we want to be the best. We don't want to be offering apprenticeships in sectors we don't know anything about, but we want to be the most specialised in our area. And we can sort of liken that to our data team. We won't be using neural networks in the next three to 4 years. The short-term goals and the medium-term goals are to increase visibility among the business. Let managers manage. Let's analyse and summarise data, whether it be basic or not, and present it in a way that everyone can understand so that managers can implement coaching off the back of it. Managers shouldn't be analysing their data because they've got valuable time that can be spent elsewhere, and that affects performance and productivity. So if our function can visualise, present the data clearly, timely, so that it can have some valuable action off the back of, that's sort of what we're here for. That's a win. So that is our focus, and that's something that I think every organisation can benefit from. You can take it from a financial side of things as well. Data needs to be accurate for a lot of legality and legislative and regulative procedures, and having a data team, and we play a part in this, understanding if our data is accurate or not for what we submit to the SFA is a massive factor, and different companies have different procedures to abide by, and apprentices can come in and help with accuracy in them senses as well.
Yeah. So to sum it up then, you've gone detailed there, which is great. What are like some analysis wins that a data apprentice can bring?
So for us, retention is probably the most successful analysis project we've had so far. And the reason why it's been successful is because there was so much data we were capturing that was dormant that we didn't even know we were capturing that has had value. So one of our biggest wins being us capturing data we never knew was relevant to retention, and it turned out it was. Looking at things such as the distance between when a learner applies for a role and the role, how long the role was actually advertised for. There's insight there we know we can have. Stuff like the increase of salary of a learner reduces likelihood of leaving. Such basic things that we could always sort of have a hunch about, but without analysis we could never objectively present that, and we could never make a data-driven decision. So just sort of understanding dormant data and actually analysing data we never thought was relevant has paid dividends massively. And then just that objective proof rather than going off hunches has been massive for us, and that's led to improved retention rates, improved learner satisfaction, better relationships with employers, and again, that's sort of what it's all about.
Yeah, and I know we're talking there quite specific about retention and the retention of our apprentices, but that's something that can be applied to any business that you're working in. Like the goal for any business is to retain the customers, and understanding why any business can benefit from that, and I think that's a massive selling point of a data apprentice. But looking forward then, now we've got a team of 6 data analysts, and you're producing reports for directors to give us an understanding of areas of the business that we've never known that much about. What's your vision for the future of the team?
So again, the vision probably ties into one of the challenges. We want to encourage a fluid intelligence. We're all learning, and we want to make sure we all learn at the same level. And although we want our specific areas of expertise, we sort of want to bring everyone together at the same time. So if one person builds knowledge in a SQL area, we want them to share their insight across the board, so we can all grow. So that is something that is part of our strategy and vision over the next 3 to 6 months. And then just generally speaking, it's just progressing through our apprenticeships. Obviously, it can be very stressful balancing workload with apprenticeship, and then amongst other things, external training. So the vision is just to get everyone through their apprenticeship and progressing nicely. And then we have specific targets, which I won't bore you with, to do with optimization and productivity. But yeah, generally speaking, it's to encourage the team to sort of keep learning. We always need to be learning, and that fluid intelligence we need to have as a team.
Yeah, and I guess on a personal level, what's next for you then? You mentioned before programming languages. Is that looking like it's on the cards?
Yeah, so I want to sort of become an expert at SQL in the next year. I've dabbled with it a little bit, but it's not something I've fully thrown myself into because we've not had a need. And then also just, getting to grips with web script and looking to sort of implement that part of our sales strategy for comparing our against competitors, and that's going to help us a lot.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, you heard it here first. We're going to have an what is it? SQL?
SQL or SQL?
SQL expert and SQL expert in the next 12 months. You heard it here first. But that's probably a great way to wrap up today's episode, is by ending on that target. You've set yourself that target now. You've got to hit it.
I know. No excuses. It's recorded.
But how's it been? How have you found it coming on the podcast?
It's a moment I'll never forget.
The first data apprentice, and you've made quite an impact. But yeah, it's been brilliant having you. So I've learned some things today about the business that I didn't even know. So yeah, thanks for coming.
No worries, anytime.
We'll see you next time on the Diary of an Apprentice podcast. Thanks for listening to the Diary of an Apprentice podcast. Find this and future episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or check out our full videos on YouTube and Vimeo.